Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about the worst late night host in the business, Jimmy Kimmel again. The guy used to be funny, believe it or not, before he was stricken with Trump derangement syndrome, like so many others. Before that, Jimmy Kimmel Live was actually a watchable show. And even further back in his career, Kimmel also hosted The Man Show, a personal favorite of mine from back in the day. Thinking about that again now, The Man Show would have never happened in this day and age, especially not with Kimmel. Today, men aren't allowed to have fun anymore, and we're certainly not allowed to celebrate our manhood by drinking beer and watching girls jump on trampolines. Regardless, Kimmel is not that man anymore anyway. Hell, he's hardly a man at all anymore. He's skinning up a lot, looking more effeminate than ever, and he's constantly squeezing out fake tears on TV in order to try and emotionally manipulate people and push liberal policies for his left-wing overlords at ABC. Kimmel is more of a liberal shill now than a talk show host at this point, and nothing exhibits this worse than his recent interview with Kanye West, which has been circling around in the media this week, but not for the right reasons if you ask me. You see, the angle most liberal news outlets went with on this was Kanye was stumped by Kimmel's question about Trump, which is hardly true, as you'll soon see. What's really going on here is, previously, Kanye came out as a Trump supporter a couple months ago, much to the chagrin of the media, of course. As we all know, the left-wing mainstream media hates Trump, so when a popular, legendary artist came out to support him, it was more than upsetting. And Kanye is an African American too, so this really shatters the claim that Trump's a racist, doesn't it? If Trump was a racist, he wouldn't have prominent blacks like Kanye supporting him, let alone meeting him and his wife and giving them meetings and a chance to speak their minds and everything. Kanye proved Trump was clearly not racist, nor was he anti-black, so the media has been going after him ever since. This brings us back to the Jimmy Kimmel Show and his interview with Kanye. Kanye's recent appearance on there supposedly had him being stumped about Trump, but I personally think Jimmy lied to Kanye and manipulated him. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what the truth is in this interview video. Check this out.
How's everything? Good? Good. First of all, thanks for being here, and thank you for the shoes. Nobody ever brings me shoes. You brought me shoes. That's very nice of you. Very kind.
This is a 20-minute extended version of the interview, so we're going to skip over a bit here. But if you want to see the full thing yourself, there's a link in the description below. Basically, the first 2 minutes of it, they talk about Kanye's new shoe line. Pretty standard late-night banter, but then, as soon as Kimmel gets the chance, he pivots the conversation to Trump by mentioning Space Force, the president's new plan to reboot America's space travel program.
You should design the uniforms for the Space Force. Is that something that you would do if President Trump asked you to do that?
I'm into designing.
Yeah. Why not?
Well, in my opinion, Kanye does pretty good in the interview here. He's calm, collected, he thinks about his answers a bit sometimes, and more importantly, he's very charismatic. Kanye is funny and likable for the most part, while Jimmy seems like he's trying a little too hard. He's forcing this and trying to make it political, clearly, and he's pressing on Kanye a little too hard for my taste already. Call this hindsight maybe, but I can clearly see where Jimmy is going with this.
Your wife was here last week, and she's very nice, and she spoke to the president, and she actually convinced him to grant clemency to a woman who got life in prison, like real life in prison, for a first-time drug offense. Mm-hmm. Was that something that you discussed with her before she did it?
Well, she's super passionate about it, and it was amazing for her to see that dream come true.
Great answer, Kanye, and a weird approach by Kimmel. Sounds like Jimmy wants to know if Kim got permission from Kanye to do this. Like he's some sort of controlling, overbearing husband or something. It also sounds like Jimmy is trying his best to make Kim's meeting with Trump sound like a bad thing. It wasn't. Kim Kardashian met with the president, urging him to fix this unjust sentencing, which he did. This is a big success story not only for Kim Kardashian, this is also a big success for President Trump and America. Trump has shown he's a reasonable, well-meaning guy who will help people with their problems, no matter who they are. And this must really burn Kimmel's ass too. He's a stark anti-Trump liberal, so any success for Trump or us or America really pisses Jimmy off. And that's why he's going into this story in a roundabout way right now. He's trying to spin it.
Were you ever concerned about her being alone in the Oval Office with President Trump?
Well, he is a player.
Hilarious. It's funny because it's true. That's the truth in comedy here, folks. Things are always funnier when they're based on truth. That's why my show here is so funny, because everything I say is true. And that's also why Jimmy Kimmel's show is so unfunny, especially right now, because everything he says is a lie or spin. And back to this comment for a minute, because it warrants some more explanation. You see, Jimmy and Kanye meant completely different things here, as far as I see it. Kanye had a great finishing line saying Trump is a player, but I don't think that's why Jimmy made the suggestion at all. Jimmy asked if Kanye was worried about his wife being alone with Trump. Not because Trump is skilled at seducing ladies, which is a harmless, actually positive trait to have, being a player, somewhat. But no, Jimmy wasn't suggesting that. He was suggesting he thinks Trump is a sexual abuser, a harasser, and quite possibly a rapist who could have tried to come after Kim. And that's the liberal narrative on Trump in the media right now, everywhere. They never admit that Don is a rich and famous and charming man, so the ladies naturally love him. No, their spin is that Trump harasses women and forces them to be with him, which is just plain false. I'm really glad Kanye saved this section of the interview by identifying this known fact. Trump is a player. This truth was far funnier than what Jimmy's implication was, which of course was based on lies and propaganda. Next, Kanye goes on to explain why he came out in support of Trump a few months back.
And put on the hat. It represented overcoming fear and doing what you felt, no matter what anyone said, and saying, you can't bully me. Liberals can't bully me, news can't bully me, the hip-hop community, they can't bully me. Because at that point, if I'm afraid to be me, I'm no longer Ye. That's what makes Ye.
And being yourself and who you want to be is deeply important. Good on you, Kanye, for standing up against everyone in the black community, Hollywood, and entertainment. Coming out as a Trump supporter there is like coming out as gay in the 1950s. Really, you're going to be met with the same kind of hatred, bigotry, and groupthink, and their monolithic bullshit. And it really sounds like Kanye came out for Trump in order to stand up for himself, and to get his confidence back too. And he was trying to be who he wants to be, despite all of this drama. And of course, let's not forget, I'm sure the fact that President Trump is a good, positive, helping force in America helped Kanye jump up and support him too.
I quite enjoy when people actually are mad at me about certain things.
You must enjoy it.
Yeah. I actually quite enjoy it.
Because your wife was mad at you, right? I mean, according to your song, your wife was upset about that.
Right or wrong, or even if I changed my mind about it or thought about it more, which I'm not saying I did,
Here's where Kanye starts getting a little flustered, which is understandable. Kimmel is starting to come at him clearly, getting his wife involved, bringing up how she was mad at him, even suggesting his wife would be endangered around Trump before. So make no mistake, guys, Kimmel is trying to get under Kanye's skin. Sure, the show's still polished and he's masked this charade with some jokes and stuff, but this has really turned into an aggressive interview. Jimmy is trying to do some gotcha journalism here, and it's pretty pathetic and a little rude. They're definitely not talking about the normal, PC, boring TV and movie stuff these shows usually focus on. And that's fine. If they want to talk about politics too, sure, go ahead. But I don't think Kanye was ready or hoping for it to be like this. He's a big boy though. Yeezy will be fine. I'm not worried about it. All that's really going to happen here is Jimmy is getting exposed as a liberal shill hack fraud.
And just hug somebody the way that Alice Johnson hugged her family when she got out of jail. That one by one, we can defuse this nuclear bomb of hate that we're in as a society by thinking of everyone as our family. And how would we treat our kids? How would we treat our
I think that's a
aunties?
beautiful thought.
It is a beautiful thought. I had to cut some of the beginning of this bit off, but basically, Kanye is preaching love, not hate here. He's suggesting we try and love each other and our president more, despite our differences, at least from my understanding. And I think this is a good message too. And it shows the difference between these levels of entertainment. The talk shows and the news and the political pundits, they all focus on hate too much. Kimmel just hates on Trump night after night, focusing on the negative almost exclusively. Hell, my show here can even be guilty of over-hating too. That's why I try to mix in positive stuff when I can, like some of my movie reviews and live streams. And it looks like Kanye is doing his part as well as a musician. Music and TV and movies are the best places to get a positive, love-filled message right now, when you can find them. So we sound good so far here, but I'm pretty sure Kimmel is about to spin this into something terrible.
But just in literal terms, there are families being torn apart at the border of this country. There are literally families being torn apart as a result of what this president is doing. And I think that, you know, we cannot forget that.
And there's the big lie, folks. I guess Kimmel is taking a move out of Hitler's playbook. The Nazis always used to say that if you lied big enough and often enough, people will start to believe it's true. In their case, they were lying about Jews being evil and subhuman. And in Jimmy Kimmel's case, he's lying about these families at the border, blaming it all on Trump. The truth is, though, it's not Trump's fault that men, women, and children are trying to cross our border illegally every day. The president is not to blame for illegal immigration here. He didn't go and knock down the border and start inviting people in. You might be able to say Obama did that, though. Illegal immigration has been a problem in our country for a long time now, well before Trump came into office in 2017. And also, the laws about immigration, namely the part about separating men, women, and children at the border, I won't call it families because we don't even know if they're families. But regardless, these rules were around well before Trump too. And it's not like the president is sitting at the Rio Grande capturing and separating illegals himself at the border. So when liberals continually try to blame this shit on Trump, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you know why they made this rule in the first place? The The reason adults and children are separated at the border is because they want to make sure they're actually related. Otherwise, any Mexican can just go and grab a child and try and cross the border with them, regardless of any relation at all. These adults could be kidnappers or worse. Child trafficking is a huge problem at the border now, if you hadn't heard. And these separation policies are one good way we can try and help fix that. But I suppose liberals would rather just believe these illegal immigrants when they say the kids are theirs, even though they've already proven that they're untrustworthy. Hell, they just committed major crimes by trying to sneak into this country illegally, not to mention they're obviously neglecting their supposed child already. Any parent who would take their kid on this kind of dangerous life or death journey to cross the border illegally is clearly not the best parent to begin with, if they even are that kid's parent in the first place.
Whether we like his personality or not, his actions are really what matter. I mean, you so famously and so powerfully said George Bush doesn't care about black people. It makes me wonder what makes you think that Donald Trump does, or any people at all. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back and Kanye West.
Jesus, Jimmy, give the guy a chance at least. You drop all this shit on Kanye and then, after less than 3 seconds, you cut him off to go to your commercial break. And this is where the media said Kanye was supposedly stumped, when really Kimmel lied, got under his skin, and then cut Kanye off for a commercial. Kanye himself has even felt the need to explain this online. Kanye responded to him supposedly being stumped by clarifying things on Twitter. First saying, "On Jimmy Kimmel, we had a great time having a dialogue. I'm reading that I was stumped by a question. Let me clarify the clickbait. I wasn't stumped. I wasn't given a chance to answer the question," which is exactly what I suspected. Kanye goes on to explain more shortly after tweeting this. "The question was so important, I took time to think, and then I was hit with the 'let's go to commercial break.' That interview showed strong personalities with different opinions having a civil conversation. Well put, Kanye, and I find it highly respectable that he kept this disagreement civil and pointed it at the media who were trying to clickbait this shit for views. A smaller man might have publicly chastised Jimmy Kimmel too. He's the one who arranged all this and came after Kanye pretty aggressively in their interview. Looks like Kanye took the high road here though, and is keeping things on good terms with Jimmy, although I'm willing to bet Kanye was pissed at him privately. In the end, Kanye was not stumped by Jimmy Kimmel. Clearly he was just thinking for a second and then was cut off. And as for the actual question, let me go ahead and answer it with this. Of course Trump cares about black people. He cares about all people, especially all Americans. The suggestion that Trump's some kind of white supremacist racist is just laughable. There's zero evidence or proof or anything to support that at all. What do you guys think? Did Jimmy stump Kanye, or was he just cut off for a commercial? And was Kimmel being inappropriate and aggressive in that interview? I certainly think him lying about Trump and immigration was clearly uncalled for. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.